Thank you for listening to Liberty Christian Center's podcast. Let's join Pastor Paul Carlson for today's message.
We've been on a series, and we've called this series Shine. I love that. Shine, because that's not only what we do, but more importantly, it's who we are. Shine is what God made us. He made us to shine. He made us lights, in a dark world. And in 1 John, I'll give you a couple of scriptures here. These will go quick. I don't know if you don't get them on the board, Kelly, you know what? We love you and think you're cool, okay? But in 1 John 1, verse 5, it says, "This is the message we've heard from him and declare unto you." What is that message? That God is light, and in him there's no darkness at all. Isn't that something? God is light. There's no darkness in God at all. There's no darkness. He's nothing but light. So when we become children of God, guess what? We're just chip off the old block. We've got light in us. Say, I've got light in me. Say, I am light. Paul said that so boldly in one of the Corinthians, in chapter 6 of either 1st or 2nd. He says that talking about believers, he said, you're light. You're light. But then in Isaiah 60, I want to read this to you as well. Can I just jump right to this other version? The Beck version. Stephen does this. So hey, I think it's William Beck. He said, "Up, let your face be bright, for your light is come, and the glory of the Lord is shining on you. For truly the earth will be dark, and the people veiled in the blackest night. But the Lord is shining on you. His glory will be seen among you, and nations shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of the dawn." Now I like that. There's something about that. The world is dark, and the people are veiled in the darkest night. That's what it says. But you will shine among them. Your glory, the glory of God in you and through you will be seen among them. Here's the deal. We live in a world that is dark. And if you watch the news, and I know everybody does and sees the internet, good night, we're in an information age. We hear every dark thing that's going on and tell you, you can only take so much of that. But here's the thing, is no matter what's going on out there, I don't care how dark it is, the darkness cannot put the light out. Sometimes we get funny thinking. Maybe you don't, but sometimes I do, and it can try to creep in. And it thinks, oh, the world's getting dark. It's getting dark. What about the Christians? Hey, this is the time to shine. This is the time to be bright. As a matter of fact, it makes it even more magnificent. You stand out even more when there's darkness all around. I mean, you could take for granted the light in this room, but if we shut off all the lights, closed up all the doors, every window and everything, it'd be nothing but light, and we lit a little tiny light, I'll tell you, all attention would be on that little light. No matter how dark it is, in any situation, no matter how dark. I know walking in Haiti, it can seem dark. Sometimes we used to go out in the mountains and preach in churches, and I'd always show up late because you had to drive through a river and climb a mountain to get to the church, and they're sitting there singing, didn't miss a beat, anyway. You'd get there, and you could tell the missionaries because we'd all have flashlights. No matter how dark it was, the little flashlight would throw a beam and cast light upon it. Darkness will never overwhelm the light. And the devil does not, say not. He does not have the power to stifle your light, to put your light out. He can't blow your candle out. The devil cannot do that. He doesn't have that power. Now he can try to cover it up. He can try to throw things in your path that will try to stifle, or try to cover up who you are. But I'm telling you what, it'll never cease to be light on the inside of you. The devil cannot blow your candle out. And I like the song too, but he can't do it. Paul said, Ephesians 5:8, "You were sometimes darkness, but now are you light in the Lord. Walk as children of light." Jesus said this. He said, "You're the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hid, neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, that it gives light to all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who's in heaven. So here's what the devil does do. He operates through deceit. He operates through darkness. He tries to cloud our thinking. You know, I think there's a song called Life is a Battlefield. And I want to say it this way. Life is like a minefield. All right? Life's like a minefield. And the devil's got little mines out there to try to trip us up. And as Jesus said, to put this kind of a bushel basket over us so that people don't see how much what we got in us. We got this God stuff, reverberating on the inside of us, illuminating. But he tries to bring these things that will cover it up. And I think that most of the time that people, allow this to happen because they just are not aware of his tactics. He operates with deceit, okay? Deceit. That's his tool. So the way to expose, how you expose a lie? You tell the truth. You tell the truth. We're going to talk today about one of these baskets, and the basket is this. It's unforgiveness. And I guess I'll just say this, that what we want to do in life is purpose to be good finders. To be good finders. As we go through life, let's find the good in people. Let's find some element that we can focus on in life when it comes to people, that we can say, I appreciate that about them. It's easy to be a fault finder. It's easy to find fault with anybody, with anything. I mean, Carrie Underwood. Who knows what you're going to talk about on a Sunday. Carrie Underwood, she won the American Idol a few years ago, and she's a great singer. From what I know, she's a Christian. And she stepped out and did this Sound of Music live production on TV. And what I heard is they hadn't done a live TV show since Peter Pan back in the whenever that was. Whatever, was it? Who was it? Marion something. Martin. So, I mean, that's a big span. I mean, that's like decades have come and gone, and nobody's done live plays on TV. So Carrie Underwood, steps up to do this role as Maria. And I know we've watched little segments of it, because we recorded it. And I'll tell you, you get them songs in your head. I was singing about a goat herder today. Oh, yodeling. And the dog loved it. Dana and I were yodeling back and forth, and the dog was like, oh. And don't ask me to do that now. But anyway, so Carrie stepped up to do this, and I read some things online, and people were bashing her. Just coming against her. And I thought, man, I want to stand up for the girl. Carrie, good job. You took a risk, man. You were bold. You went out and did something nobody's done for decades. She's not an actress. She's a singer. And she did shine when she sang. I thought we were in Austria. My goodness. But people can be fault finders. Let's purpose to be good finders. 1 Peter 3:10, it says, for he that would love life and see good days, let him refrain his tongue from evil and his lips that they speak no guile. Smith Wigglesworth said this. I love Smith Wigglesworth, the English plumber, got saved, turned on, went into the ministry, at least 14 people raised from the dead. He's 14 ahead of me. And he said, many people stop growing in Christ because something happened years ago they were not able to get over and forgive, and they haven't stopped the strife, and it stopped their growth. Isn't that something? You know what? Sad to say, it's true. People get stifled in life. Their growth has stopped. They've come across this thing that offended them, and they thought, well, offense is so tricky. Because when you get offended, there's something about it that you rise up and you say, well, I'm right and they're wrong. And if I was to forgive them, this is the kind of thinking the devil will throw at you. He says, if I was to forgive them, well, then I'd be saying that what they did was okay. That has nothing to do with forgiveness. Forgiveness has nothing to do with who's right and who's wrong. Forgiveness is simply a choice that we make to stay in this place, in this secret place with God, where we walk through life, with Him, and we're showing the whole world what's on the inside of us. When we get trapped in this place of unforgiveness, you're still light on the inside, but what's happened is, like Jesus talked about, there's like a bushel basket that tries to cover up who you really are. You see, walking in unforgiveness is walking opposing who we really are on the inside. It's opposing the real you. We want to make it our goal and our quest in life to just be real. Yes, to be real. And really who we are is this person that's a new creature in Christ. It's full of God. It's full of love. There's love living on the inside of us. There's this thing in us, this power in us that looks beyond people's faults and failures, and it sees something good. It sees a treasure in every person. And you see, in doing that doesn't mean, well, hey, I'm just condoning the bad things that they've done. No! It means you're just loving people. It means that you're letting your light shine. It means that you're walking like Jesus walked. Now in Mark 11:20, we usually start in 22. It says, have faith in God, and whosoever shall say to this mountain, be removed, cast the sea, not doubt in his heart, but believe the things he says shall come to pass. He'll have whatever he says. We love that one, right? And when you stand praying, believe you receive, and you shall have it, whatever things you desire, believe you receive it and you'll have it. But then in verse 25 it says, and when you stand praying, forgive, if you have aught against any, that your Father who also is in heaven may forgive you your trespasses. Here's the deal. We won't get real deep into this, but I'll just say this, that if there's things that can stop our faith from being strong and our faith from being productive, unforgiveness is one of them. Okay? Holding aught against another person, can I tell you something? Does not hurt the other person. It only hurts us. It only hurts us. It only puts this bushel basket over us. It only keeps us from operating in the maximum place that God desires us to operate from. It only keeps us from being, if you're walking around with aught and unforgiveness, does God still love you? Absolutely. He's perfected this stuff. Even when I'm a stinker, He loves me unconditionally. His grace flows without any nothing. Man, I tell you, there's nothing. He just loves me. But you see, I can choose to allow myself not to operate in the full potential of what God's called me to. And unforgiveness is one of those things that does that. Now, let me read you this. This is a quick one. Won't have time for Kelly on this one, but in Ephesians 4:26 and 27, it says, be angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down on your wrath. Neither give place to the devil. Everyone gets angry in life. If you've gotten angry, you're not a failure. Okay? But just don't allow anger to control you. Don't let it consume you. Paul said, he says, be angry and sin not. Is that even possible? Yeah, it's possible. And frankly, there are some things in this world we need to be angry about. Not everything in this world is perfect. But don't let your anger be at people, because people are not the enemy. And I love, you probably know this version because I quote it, and it's my favorite of this, the J.W.C. Wand version. He said it like this. He says that when you're in a sulky frame of mind, that's when the devil has his greatest opportunities. Let's not give the devil any great opportunities. Let's choose life. Let's be real. Let's live out of the inside. You see, your spirit is the real you. Your spirit is the center of all this godly action that's going on, okay? You know, God speaks to you in your spirit, and really true victory is learning to live and operate out of this place in life. Now, if you're like me, sometimes my flesh rears up, but my flesh is not the real me. You know that? This flesh, these desires and, crummy stuff that kind of tries to manipulate me, that's not the real me. In life, sometimes I've got to shake this stuff off and say, all right, let's get in touch with who I really am. Now, I'm not saying that in some weird mystical way. I'm just being a real Christian here. And the real me is a spirit. And, God operates and flows through my spirit. He talks to me in my spirit, and those messages come to my spirit, and then they come up into my mind. I go, oh. It's one of those, moments. I could have had a V8. Those things. But those that God deals with us in our heart and our spirit. Now, in Luke 15, this has become one of my favorite Jesus stories. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it is the prodigal son. It's what we call the prodigal son. And we're familiar with that one. This guy had two sons, and the younger son said, give me everything coming to me. I'm going and doing my thing. And who hasn't done that? We've been there, been that prodigal son before. And he goes out, he spends everything he's got, his inheritances, he wastes his living with, partying and whatever. And then he comes to this place where he's at the end of his rope, and he says, man, if I just went back to my own home, even the servants of my father have it better than I've got it. So he gets up, he goes home, and I love this part of the story. It's not what I'm trying to point out today, but I can't skip over it. As he's coming down the road, where's the father? Where's the father? Is he stewing? Is he in his office, in his study, smoking a pipe, going, that son of mine, where did he, steam coming out of his ears, Oh, if I ever get my hands on that kid again, smack, I'm going to give it to him. Give him what's coming. No. Here's the father. The father is out looking down the road, sees his son coming from afar, goes to embrace him. It's just like when Adam in the garden blew it. Do you think God knew Adam blew it when he ate the apple or the pear or whatever it was? Mango, I think it was. But do you think God knew it before he encountered Adam? I think he probably knew what Adam did. But what did God do? Came in the garden calling his name. Adam, Adam, where are you, Adam? I'm looking for you. Why is he looking for him? Because he has the solution. He has the remedy. He has redemption. So the father is looking for the son. And when the son, is embraced by the father, he puts a ring on his hand. He says to the servants, kill the fatted calf. My son was lost, but now he's found. We're going to party tonight. All right, here's where we're picking it up. Where we skip a lot of times is the older son. The elder son, there's a lot we could see about him. Of course, everybody's beginning to party and make merry, it says. But it says in verse 25 of where were we? Luke 15. It says in verse 25, the elder son was in the field. What was he doing? He was probably out there working in his father's field. And he comes in and drew nigh to the house, and he heard music and dancing. And he called one of the servants and asked what these things meant. And he said unto him, your brother's come, your father's killed the fatted calf, and received him in safe and sound. And what happened, verse 28 tells us the older brother, the older son, was angry and would not go in. What happened? He copped a tood. What happened? He took offense. What happened is he isolated himself from the very blessings of God. Now, did the father love that son? Absolutely. He makes it clear later in the story. He says, look, everything I have is yours. You know what? Everything God has is yours today. And the only thing that can keep us from enjoying it is us. It's us. So, offense, didn't hurt the younger brother at all. Where was he? He's in the house partying. Now, was the older brother right in what he was thinking? you could probably, find the rightness in what he was thinking. Sometimes it's dangerous when you're a good little Christian. Now listen to me. It can be dangerous because the devil is mean and he'll come at you any way he can. I would imagine this older brother had thoughts like this. I'm out working. Say working. Is working good? It can be good. Working in itself is good. But here's the danger with the worker. The worker can become high-minded. The worker can get this thought that what I'm doing is earning my place with God. All right? Is work good? Yes, work is good. We ought to work. But in our working, we need to be aware of this minefield that's out there. These thoughts that can come and just explode in our minds that, wow, look at me. I'm working. I'm doing the Father's business. Slackard. Who are you to think that God would love and appreciate and bless you? That's a danger. That's a danger. That's the Will Robinson danger thing. All right? So offense, it came and it hurt. Who did it hurt? It hurt the elder brother. Offense, it kept him from the joy that the father wanted to give him. Offense kept him from the party that was going on. Is there parties going on now? There's parties going on. Offense will make you a party pooper. Now, I think the older brother, I don't know. I want to believe that he got a hold of himself and said, wow, what am I doing here? This thing is ruining my standing. It's ruining my life. And again, it didn't cut him off from the Father's love for 1 second. But that action cut him off from what the Father intended him to enjoy. I'll quickly tell you the story in 2 Kings 5, and you can look that up later, but 2 Kings 5 is a story of Naaman, and Naaman was a Syrian guy, and he had leprosy, and came to Israel to seek the prophet. It was Elisha. And he came there with letters from the king and everything, came to the prophet, and he'd been told, hey, this man, he's got a connection with the Most High God. He can heal you. So he comes up, and what happens when he gets to the residence of Elisha, he had in his mind this thing built up where he thought, I'm a man of valor. I'm sure he had pomp and circumstance. I'm sure that he pulled up to Elisha's house with the finest chariots and horses. Probably a little, I don't know if this really happened, but there could have been a little guy with a trumpet going, boop, 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 boop. And Naaman comes walking out with his robes on and stuff. A leper, but it's totally in the finest things. And he's expecting this man of God, this prophet, to come out and do something like, hey, let's have a second song right now. Lay hands. Who's praying today, by the way? Is that you guys? After the service, we got to have, we'll come up and we'll pray for anybody. But it didn't happen the way that Naaman thought it would happen. Elisha sent out his servant, Gehazi. Gehazi came and brought him instruction, told him to go dip in the river Jordan 7 times. So you do that, you'll be healed. Well, this guy took offense. He had pride and offense in thoughts. I like the way the King James Version says it. Naaman said, I thought surely he'd come out, and lay hands on me and whatever. Well, your thinking can get you in trouble. Offense can get you in trouble. What happened with Naaman? He took offense. He took offense. It didn't happen the way he thought it would happen. He didn't happen the way that his mind had dictated to him. And when it didn't happen that way, he got offended. And that offense could have kept him from his healing. Because he went away a leper. But thank God he had a servant, talked some sense to him, and said, hey, if he'd have told you to do some great thing, wouldn't you have gone and done it? Naaman said, yeah, I guess I would have. Thank God in situations of life that God can bring people into your life that can talk to you in a way that you would receive it. You know, and that's probably why this guy was close to Naaman, because he could talk to him, he could relate to him. And he gave him that truth, and Naaman went and did what the prophet said, and dipped not 6 times but 7. On the 7th time, he came up with, skin like a baby. The leprosy was cleaned, and he was made whole. And see, even if you've been offended, even if you're in the middle of offense right now, even if you're in a stupor, you can come out of it. How did Naaman do it? He chose to do that. He saw the light. He saw the truth. The truth revealed, the light shined around him and showed him that, hey, this is a trap. I'm getting out of this thing. Hallelujah. Offense is a trap. Now in Luke 17:1, Jesus said it's impossible that offenses will come. So as we go through this world, you can know this, man. Just because you've gotten offended or have been tempted to be offended doesn't mean you've been singled out in any way, shape, or form. It is just part of life. We can rub each other's wrong. You go on a missions trip. Although the missions trips we've been going on, man, there's nobody was offensive or anything, and we all got along pretty good. We all did. And we found our way to make it. But I've been on missions trips where, man, it's easy to get offended. Thoughts can come to you. You know what I'm talking about, how it can happen. And nobody's intending anything wrong. Nobody's intending any ill will. But the devil works overtime. Brother Hagin says, whenever you're feeling mistreated, the devil is working overtime. Isn't that the truth? Whenever you're feeling mistreated, the devil is working overtime. So Jesus said it's impossible that offenses will come. They're going to come. We just need to know what to do with it. The word offense that Jesus uses, of course, it's the Greek word scandalous. If you've ever read the book Bait of Satan, which I'm going to tell you a story about in a minute. It's a great book. Bevere. What's his name? John Bevere, yeah. Great book. I remember Dane and I read that back when it first came out, and we're like, wow, this is tremendous stuff. And so if you haven't, there's good truths in it. But he brings out this word scandalous that Jesus uses for the word of, offense. In the Greek, the word is scandalous. And the meaning of the word has to do, when you dig out the meaning, it has to do with this thing called a bait stick. A bait stick. What is this bait stick thing? Well, here's the illustration. In some parts of the world, people hunt for monkeys. Now, I've never eaten a monkey. A few people have, I'm sure. And if you wanted to know how to prepare it, you'd ask Willie. But there's places in the world that they hunt monkeys. And one way that they hunt them is this way that we'll talk about here, is they find this shiny thing that's attractive to a monkey, and they put it in this gourd that has a hole hollowed out of it that's big enough that you could move, the monkey's hand could go in there and fit through this hole. But then once it's in there, the monkey would grab this shiny object, which is called the scandalous, or the bait stick. And once he grabs that, his hand is a fist, and he can't bring it out of this gourd that's chained to a pole in the ground. Well, then the hunter comes along, this is my version, comes along with a stick, bonk, knocks him on the head, knocks him out, takes the monkey. Now, all the while this monkey is grabbing inside this gourd, at any time, all he has to do is let go of this shiny object, and he could pull his hand right through that hole just the way it went in. But you see, because he's so consumed with this shiny little object called the scandalous, is what it's called, or the bait stick, he'll refuse to let go of it. And by holding on to that shiny object, he can therefore not get free of the trap. And the hunter comes, bam, hits him on the head, monkey stew for supper. Okay? Maybe. So what's the thing? See, the bait stick in life is this offense. As silly as it sounds, offense can feel good to the flesh. To the flesh. The flesh feels justified in being mad. It feels like, well, I have a perfect right to be mad at this person. No, you don't. None of us have a perfect right to be mad at someone. Okay? This thing, this offense, is a trap of the devil. It's a trap of the devil. And if we're going to enjoy life and see good days, we got to let go of that stuff.
Thank you for listening to Liberty Christian Center's podcast. To partner with this ministry or for any additional information, please visit libertychristiancenter.org.